Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Okay, before I get in this vlog, I have a couple things I have to say. Caveats. First of all, I'm on really bumpy construction road right now, so it's going to be bumpy for a little bit. Second of all, I do not know how long this vlog is going to be. I only have one battery for my camera, I realized, and my batteries have been kind of acting up lately, or maybe one of them has been acting up, and I don't know if it's because I've had it for so long that it's starting to like die or run out of juice or something, I don't know. But it's fully charged, so it should run for a while, but it's been acting weird. Like, I'll film a couple videos and then I'll have to put the other battery in and charge it. So I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I could talk for a long time tonight because, you know, I could talk for hours and hours. I'm in a really good mood tonight, so I could talk a lot, and I feel like I could talk and tell a lot of different stories tonight because my mind is just going down memory lane, but we'll just have to see what happens with the battery. I'm going up the interstate and I'm going to come back, and if it runs out and I'm still wanting to talk, I'll just run home and get the other battery. But anyway, you guys are kind of coming into this vlog at a weird time for me, I have to tell you. I don't really know what triggered it. It was so weird. Like, and I was sitting here trying to remember what happened. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but so I was sitting in the driveway before I left, and I got on iTunes. I buy so much money. I spend a lot of money. I buy so many songs on iTunes, and I was like thinking about a song. I think I was thinking about Domino Dancing, and I was like, I think I have it on my iTunes. And so I went into my iTunes and I didn't have any Pet Shop Boys songs. And I was like, I don't have any Pet Shop Boys songs. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, I know I used to like them a lot back in the day, right? Like, I kind of had this, like, vague memory of liking the Pet Shop Boys and stuff like that, right? So I went in and I was, like, looking up their songs. And, I was actually looking for this one specific song that's called Liberation, but I couldn't remember what it was called. And I was trying to find what CD it was on, and I remembered that it was on the CD that had like this orange cover on the front of it, because it came like in this orange rubbery package. And so anyway, I was looking on there, and I started going through and playing these songs, and it was surreal, you guys. Like, I mean to tell you, like, instantly I was like going down memory lane. Like, it was so weird. And what I realized was I had kind of forgotten like what a big part of my youth the Pet Shop Boys played. Like, in my early 20s, when I was still drinking, when I had just come out, like, I would say like 18 to 22, like, I listened to the Pet Shop Boys a lot. And what was so weird was, as I was looking at the covers of the albums, what I realized was I own so many of these albums in my basement. And so I was going through, I ended up downloading, you guys, like 20 songs. I spent so much money on iTunes. I downloaded like 20 songs, and I was going through there. And it was just like every song I knew like every word to. I just drove around for probably a half an hour listening to all these songs, and I legit knew like every word to every song. And I was like, this is so crazy. And I mean, I can remember listening to these songs and getting ready, and I can remember like sitting there drinking and getting ready in my apartment. We used to do that, you know, that was kind of a thing back in the day. You'd like sit there and pick outfits out, and does this shirt look better than that? And we'd have the Pet Shop Boys blasting in the background, and, you know, and then I can remember like we used to watch, you know, today everybody gets together and they watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but in my generation it was absolutely fabulous. We all got together, and I kind of forgot that we would like get together once a week, and we would, like, my friends, I had like friends, there was like 4 of them that lived in this apartment together, and that was where I like crashed and stayed a lot, and we would get together once a week, and we would watch Absolutely Fabulous. And, you know, the song is like the Pet Shop Boys to the song. So, I was thinking about that. But then, this song that I was looking for, something else I had listened to reminded me of that song. And I was worried because I can remember that it was like, you had to buy the special edition of the CD to get this song, and that's why I bought the special edition of the CD, because I wanted that song, this Liberation song. And I don't know how I remember that, but I did. So anyway, I downloaded all these songs, but then I was listening to the song Liberation, and it's so funny that that's what it's called, because it's really about coming out, is really what it is, and really realizing, and the Pet Shop Boys were gay, I don't know if you know that, but anyway, and it's really about, like, realizing, like, that love is no different, no matter who you love. And there's this one line in the song, and it's my favorite line in a song. It's one of my favorite lines of a lot of songs. And it is, and I've remembered it for all these years. And it says, all the way back home at midnight, you were sleeping on my shoulder. And I can remember the very first time I ever heard that. And I knew I wanted that. Like, I knew that that was what I wanted. Like, I wanted somebody just to be that comfortable with, you know? And I think it's interesting how music does that to us, you know? And I can just remember that, listening to that and feeling like, you know, that was out there, and that's what I want. It's so interesting, you know, now, all these years later, my God, something just fell off that truck and, like, flew in front of me. It was, like, packaging or something. And all of these years later, you know, I have that. You know what I mean? I feel so blessed. Like, I have that today. What I never thought I could have, I have. And then I downloaded Right on Time by Black Box, which I completely forgot about. Black Box, who I think is Martha Wash, actually. And that was like a huge, that was the only song. I would listen to all the songs. I knew, or I kind of played the little clips of all the songs, and I knew all those songs too, but I was like, I don't want all these songs. I don't love them all as much as I love the Pet Shop Boys, but it was crazy, you know, listening to it. I was like, listening to these songs, I just was like, thinking back about those times, and, you know, it's weird. Like, I'm not somebody that, you know, I remember talking to my mom, and I would say something like, you don't listen to the folk music that you used to listen to, and she'd say, Peter, it kind of makes me sad, you know, it kind of depresses me, and it's like, you know, I'm not that age anymore, that was music of my youth, and I kind of get it, you know, sometimes, when she would say that, like, now I get it a little bit, but in all honesty, and I don't know what it's about, I really don't. The only thing I can guess is that I feel like I have such a fantastic life later in life, like in my late 40s, that, I mean, I feel so incredibly blessed. I have the coolest life, you know what I mean? Like, I just do. I have this amazing husband, and amazing dogs, and friends, and family, and I get to do really cool shit, and, you know, like, make videos that people want to watch, and it's just, you know, and write books, and I have a really cool life, you know? I feel so blessed about it, and I think half of it is just luck, you know? I'm not a big believer in luck, but I just, you know, I just think it's, you know, my husband's a believer that, he doesn't believe in soulmates. He believes that we meet people, like, if you meet somebody at a certain time and you're like, it works, like, that is kind of what he believes in meant to be, you know? And it's like, a lot of my life has kind of been like that. It's been, you know, last night I talked about timing never working, but like, much of my life, that the things that I have that I'm so grateful for was because of good timing. You know what I mean? I mean, if Alex had texted me 2 or 3 weeks, or texted me, if he had messaged me 2 or 3 weeks later than he did, saying, hey, are you gonna still take me on that date? We would never have gone on that first date. I was determined I was gonna move to Colorado. I was done with Indiana, I was moving to Colorado. And, you know, I think about that. know, the opportunities that I've just had in my life, like a lot of it is good timing with things, or meeting people at the right time, you know. It's just, and that's why, like, I think that is one thing that helps me. Like, I did this video the other day talking about jealousy, envy, you know, and stuff like that, which is something I've struggled with in my life, I'm not gonna lie, you know. Often in my life, I've always felt like I was, like, lagging behind, you know. When I came out, it was like all of my friends were like 3 or 4 years older than me, and I was always like the little brother, you know. And then when I got sober, it was like everybody I hung out with was older than me, you know. I mean, maybe they didn't have more sobriety than me at times, but they were all older than me and had more life experience. And then as I, you know, got sober and kind of like, you know, got a career started and whatever, it's like all of my friends that had gone to college were like living in other cities and making $100,000 a year, you know. And then I was 30 and it was like all of my friends were settling down and they had $500,000 houses and were making $200,000-$300,000 a year. You know what I mean? Like, I was always behind all of that. And what I realized was that, like, that's where I realized that my journey is so different than everybody else's and I can't compare it. And when you see me kind of like looking at the camera and like kind of looking, it's because I'm looking at the time on it to make sure it's not about to stop. But anyway, it's not. We're like at 11 minutes and 36 seconds. But that was a tough lesson for me, you know, to learn that, like, my timing is different than everybody else's. My journey is different, and I'm not supposed to be anywhere, you know, I'm not supposed to be maybe in somebody else's shoes, and, you know, and maybe the opportunities that I get are different than the opportunities that they get, and our journey is all completely different, right? And it's all supposed to maybe, and I am a believer in some of those things, you know, like, just because my husband doesn't believe in it doesn't mean that I don't believe that he's my soulmate, you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily believe in it as much as I used to. I think I liked the idea of it, but I do believe that very much that we repeat lives with some of the same souls. I do believe that. But I don't necessarily believe so much in the idea of a soulmate. You know, I believe more so that the possibility that maybe in another life Alex and I were like sisters or something. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it plays out differently. And Tanya and I were maybe married in another life, or maybe she was my mom or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. But I got that whole idea from that book by Brian Weiss, or whatever his name is, Many Lives, Many Masters. I just never can really fix this climate in this car, can I? It just is always driving me nuts. But, you know, I always just kind of felt behind and like I was lagging behind. And I don't feel that way today as much, but I will say this is like, I mean, I really don't. And part of it is this, I don't know, maybe this is getting older. You know, when I go to my friend's house and they have, you know, a 6-bedroom house and you know, $750,000 6-bedroom house and on, you know, and they have grounds. And I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, I wouldn't want to have to pay landscaping. Second of all, I would never have to be, how the hell would you keep his house clean, you know? And then it's just like the two of them because their kids are off to college. And I'm like, this is depressing, you know? And so that doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to. Like, smaller spaces appeal to me more now, honestly. In fact, there's this like hotel that just started in Indianapolis, and it's like little houses. I don't know where it is. I want to find it, and I want to go stay in there one night. We talked about it. Melissa and I want to do it. And you can go and stay in a little house for a night. Don't you think that would be so much fun? I want to do that so bad. But anyway, one of the things that was really, really changed it for me was when I went to my high school reunion, my 20 year, and Alex and I went. We took my friend from high school, who is better at the world still. I feel bad for her, you know. Do you have any friends out there that's like they've had some sad stuff, like they've had some breakups and some stuff that's happened to them, but no more than anybody else, but they just let it, do you know what I mean? But like, not really any more than anybody else, but it's not like they've had huge tragedies in their life, but like, if you talk to them, you would think they had huge tragedies in their life, you know what I mean? Because maybe that's their perception of it, but they don't really choose to ever want to move on. But then when you say things like, have you ever thought about going and talking to somebody about this? You know, so maybe, no, I don't need to do that, you know? And it's like, okay, well, what's your plan? I mean, I don't know. Like, no, I don't want to ever date anybody. I don't want to be with anybody. When you can tell that that's what they really want. You know, it's just sad to me. But anyway, so we went to this reunion, and that was the reunion where everybody apologized to me, and so many people came up to me and were like, oh my God, you know, I shouldn't have treated you the way I did, and people, like, you know, apologized for bullying me, and people I didn't even know, that I don't even remember ever having met in my entire life. But that wasn't even it. It was like, so many people were just like so intrigued with the website that Alex and I had, and like they knew about it, which was crazy, and like what we did, and you know, like our life and the dogs and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they would see it on, and they would stop me like at the reunion. They'd be like, oh my God, I follow you on Facebook, and you have such a fun life, and you guys are always traveling and doing this and doing that and whatever. And you know, what seemed to me to be a pretty okay life, but nothing super exciting, to other people on the outside seemed like this great life. And what I realized after that was, I mean, I think perception is 80% of everything, right? But like, what I went home and I realized was, okay, you know, like, I don't have a job where I'm making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, but I do okay, and we have a roof over our head, and we eat well, you know, and our life is good, you know, like, and we have a really fun life, and we do what we want, you know what I mean? We have a really fun life. And it was crazy kind of realizing that, you know, because then it kind of like, I didn't have this need to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. But I will say this, the other thing that helped was around that same time, I started having friends of mine that like would either go through divorces, or like some of them got into some financial problems, and what you would find out is that they didn't really have the money that people thought they did. It was like really like they were overspending, and I just, that's a scary life for me as somebody that's paid off a lot of debt. Like, that's a scary life. I don't ever want to get back to that again. So I don't need that, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, so like, I don't like with my mom, like saying that like the music like would make her sad because it would make her think of her youth. Like, I don't look back at my youth with sadness. And, you know, I think, like, sometimes I give, like, I think there's a misconception that, like, I hated my youth because I was bullied in high school, and I was an addict and an alcoholic before I got, you know, sober at 22 and a half. But the reality is that, like, I had a lot of fun using. I mean, I really did. I got in a lot of trouble, too, yes. And that was one of the reasons why I chose to stay sober, was because at that point, the trouble was outweighing the fun, which I think has to happen for any addict or alcoholic to get sober. I just do, to get clean and sober. I do, because if not, like, why are they getting clean and sober? If they're going out and they're having fun all the time and, you know, nothing bad is happening, then why would they get sober? There's no reason for it. So, you know, I was always a blackout drinker, and I always had hangovers, and so physically I felt like shit all the time. I mean, literally all the time. And, you know, then the blackouts got worse and worse and worse and stuff, but like, I still had like I had good friends, you know, a couple, and that really, it wasn't, I mean, we drank and partied together, but it wasn't just about that. And I feel like if I'm going to be fair to my story, I have to be fair to that too, you know, like, it wasn't all woe and misery. Like, there were a lot of good times, and even though I was bullied in high school, like, there were times at high school that I had fun. There were days that I went to school that I was never once bullied, and, you know, I had a lot of fun. So, you know, and I couldn't wait because it was a Friday, and me and my friends were going to hang out. We talked about it all day long and blah, 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 whatever. So, you know, like, I look back on my youth with fondness, but some of it, but at the same time, like, I feel like I really, like, I enjoy my time now. I will tell you, like, I feel like certain parts of my life went really fast. Like, I wish I was a little bit more aware of my 30s. You know, I've loved my 40s. I mean, I love being in my 40s, honest to God, and I think I'll love my 50s too, because I'm kind of just this person that, like, I take what's handed to me, and then I do my best with it. So I think I'll love my 50s as well. But for anybody out there that's in your 30s or you're in your late 20s, like, your 30s are really a great period. I mean, it really, really is. Because you're, like, kind of out of that young age where, like, for me, I can only speak for me, I guess, you know, where, like, I was solidified enough in what I wanted to do with my life. And I knew that, like, I could... Why is this car riding me so hard? Come on. We're out in the country. Just pass me by if you want. He's going to pass me by. Good. You know, like, you're so solidified in your career or whatever you're doing, or working towards that, if you're getting a degree or something, that you kind of know what you're doing, and you know what you want from a relationship point of view, and whether you have it or you don't, you know you're working in that direction, and you're kind of like the need to, like, get your wild side out, unless maybe you were, like, married in your 20s, like, all through your 20s, like, really early, or you had kids early. Now I can totally understand that, like, you know what I mean, that you're gonna want to maybe be wild in your 30s a little bit. But I think the majority of people, like, your 30s are a year that you can still go out and party and have fun and be crazy, but you don't have to if you don't want to, and you don't really feel like you have to answer to anybody anymore, you know what I mean? But then I think all of this, you know, like, I would say the first part of my 30s was when I was tough for me, my early 30s, because that was when I really felt like I was comparing myself to other people. But the tail end of my 30s was fantastic. I mean to tell you, like, 36 to 46 has probably been the best 10 years of my life so far. Honest to God. And I just think it's going to get better, too, because I think it's all about, like I said, it's all about perception, it's all about attitude, and it's about being happy with the life that you have and the life that you're making, you know, and you don't, it's like, you don't have to have a lot of money, you don't have to do really exciting things to have this amazing life, you know. The things that I consider, the things that I feel like make me have an amazing life are not things that are, like, you know, that take tons of money. Yes, we do some very nice things, and we take some very nice trips and all that kind of stuff, but by and large, that's not the, I mean, I love doing that stuff. I would travel literally once a month if I could afford it, but those aren't the things, and I don't really like leaving my dogs either, but those are the things that, you know, to me are, let me go down this, I don't know where this is, I've never been down here before. Those are the things to me that, so yeah, I got distracted. The trips are the trips are nice, all that stuff is nice, but that's not the stuff that, like, makes me happy. The things that make me happy are getting a fountain coke with Tanya, going to a fun little thing with Alex, or us laying in bed and talking and, you know, holding hands in bed, or, you know, those things that really don't cost anything at all. You know, getting a coffee today. I went and got a coffee from the Monn coffee shop, which is one of my favorite coffee shops, and I was talking to the girl in there, and she was like, because I was, like, rifling through my bag, because I had my fanny pack that I carry with me everywhere, like a purse. I had this inside my backpack, and I was trying to get my wallet out of it, and she goes, oh, I live out of bags too, I totally relate, and we were talking, and, you know, it's just like that kind of interaction makes me so happy. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I truly, I was saying it's going to stop, and it stopped, but you know what I mean? And so, I think when you get that, then you see the trips and the decorating the house and the doing this and doing that is like true blessings. You know what I mean? Because it really is about those simple things. And it's kind of like, it goes like this. Like, you have to tell yourself and tell yourself and tell yourself, because there was, like, long periods in my life where I told myself that, but I don't know that I really understood it, you know? Like, I remember, you know, like, okay, so I've talked a lot about, like, getting rid of debt on this channel. Well, one of my things was, and I've talked about this at length, so I'm just going to talk about it real briefly, but that, you know, Tanya and I would go to Walmart or Meijer, honest to God, like 3 nights a week, and we would go in there just to have something to do, you know? Our husbands were asleep, and we would do it. And so I would have like deodorant and, let's say, toothpaste to buy. Okay, what is that? You know, $4 for deodorant, maybe $3.49 or something for a 2-pack. You know, and then like $4 for, I mean, what, less than $10 for both? I'd spend $100 3 nights a week. And I would, you know, buy candle waxes and ornaments for the patio, you know, for the spring or summer. It's just all kinds of nonsense. Beauty products, you know, skincare products, all kinds of stuff that I didn't even need and that I wouldn't even really end up using. And I just was like, I got to a point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, if I really want to get rid of the debt, like, I'm going to have to make a serious effort. And this is going to have to be one of the things that goes. So I didn't even tell Tanya, you know, and I remember it was like the 3rd or 4th time after that, I can't remember. But anyway, she said something, she goes, you don't really buy anything anymore when we go. And I was like, no, I'm trying not to buy things that I don't need. I'm trying to only buy things that I need, like that I really need, you know? And she was like, oh, she was like, okay, I like that, you know, like that's admirable or something like that. So anyway, but that kind of fed into me realizing like what I need and what I want. And don't get me wrong, okay, I like one of the reasons why I do beauty influencer drama is because I'm intrigued by these people. I too love high-end things, okay? I would love to have a full set of Louis Vuitton luggage. I'm not gonna sit here and act like a BS artist and act like I wouldn't, you know? This farmhouse is adorable out here in the middle of nowhere. I'd be a little afraid, but it's adorable. But you know what I mean? Like, I would love that stuff. And, like, for example, like, I love Louis Vuitton, but I'm more of kind of a Gucci, like, fan. Like, Alex loves Louis Vuitton, and I like Gucci, but we don't really have a lot of it anyway. But there was this messenger bag. Alex got me a messenger bag probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Gucci messenger bag, which I still use, but very rarely. Only, like, if we're gonna, like, I only really use it for, like a fun day or something, like, anyway. But... and he got me my matching wallet, too, which I do use every day, and it's lasted me, like, 8 years. But there was this messenger bag that I wanted, and where can I turn around and go back? Because I don't really know where I'm at. And if you guys follow high-end stuff, it was the Gucci messenger bag that had, it looked like a travel bag, and it had the patches on it. And it had like a spaceship, and it had like a UFO, and then it had like I have no idea where I am, you guys. Okay, the camera fell. Anyway, so the bag was like $1,200, I don't know, $1,400, $1,500, I don't know. But it was somewhat reasonable for like a high-end bag, right? Because I mean, those bags sometimes go $3,000, $4,000, and you know what I mean, what, a Birkin, $10,000, $50,000, which I think is ridiculous. But anyway, and I kind of really wanted the bag, and Alex was like, well, you never like really treat yourself to anything, you know, upscale like that. And the thing is through the years, like our first, like I would say 5 years, we gifted each other very, very nice things. I mean, we have the wallets, we have all the belts, you know, we have all that. So, he was like, you don't really ever, like, you know, buy yourself anything really, really nice like that. Like, why don't you get it? And I was like, I just think it's a lot of money. And I was like, well, I guess I could, like, I started thinking about it this way, you know, like I could put like $200 a week aside, and then I could come in here, and I thought, you do not need that bag, okay? If you are thinking about it that way, you do not need that bag. There's really only one high-end thing that I would say, like, I mean, I joke about the Louis Vuitton luggage, but I could really care less, honestly. I mean, you know, just give me some duffel bag and I'm completely fine with that. But, like, the only high-end thing I've really, really ever wanted in my life was, I want a Cartier Santos watch so bad. Like, that's something I've wanted for 20 years, and is it 20 years that I've wanted that? I was probably in my late 20s, yeah. I mean, that's something that I've wanted forever, and I just think it's classic, and I may purchase that for my 50th birthday. That may be my gift for my 50th birthday. It's $7,500, I know that, the one I want. And, so I better start saving now, right? I should buy that for my 50th birthday, and I should figure out how much a month I would have to save to put that in there. But see, then what will happen is by the time I turn 50, I'll be like, you don't need this watch. Like, this is ridiculous. And that's what happened, is I started realizing I don't need these things. You know, and Alex and I, like, one of the reasons we started traveling a lot was that we realized that we would rather have experiences together. We would rather have, like, moments where we get to travel together than have things like that. But we don't need these things, you know what I mean? Like, they just, sure, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, if I made a lot of money and I could purchase those things, I would purchase those things, because if I want them, I would do that. And I don't judge people that do that. I mean, people that buy high-end things because they like them, and they have the money to spend, I think that's fine. But, I mean, I'm not going to buy something that I don't need when, yes, I could afford it, but I don't really have the money to afford it, if that makes sense. I'm sure a lot of people out there that are watching this totally relate to what I'm saying. And then what happened over time was I realized that, like, those things didn't mean as much to me as I thought they did, you know? And what was funny was Alex was kind of late to the game with me about that, because he really does, like, kind of, like, upscale stuff. And then it was like, you know, he kind of got like that, too. Like, it was like a year later, like, I would ask him what he wanted for Christmas. And, you know, it was before that he would say, well, I really would like this Louis Vuitton wallet, or, you know, I really want this, like, Gucci belt, or Louis Vuitton belt, or something, you know? And it wasn't that anymore. And he would say, well, what if we, like, you know, both pitched in and got a trip together? Or, you know, like, what if, and that would be our Christmas present to each other? You know what I mean? Like, we would, and so we started both seeing things that way. And so, life, I kind of looked at life through a different lens, so to speak. It was like, I don't know, I didn't need these, I just didn't, my needs and just wants totally changed. And it wasn't just about, you know, getting out of debt and realizing what my needs and wants were. It was like, truly philosophically, my needs and my wants changed too, you know, of what I wanted, what made me happy changed. And what brought true happiness to me wasn't really in a bag. Would it be fun to have that bag? Sure. But that bag wasn't going to bring me any happiness, or very short-lived happiness, you know? And I don't get me wrong, I love to buy things, and I will continue to buy things, but it just, you know, and I'm not, listen, like I said, I'm no BS artist. I mean, if tomorrow I won, you know, $100 million or even $10 million in the lottery, I would buy some of those things, you know? But I also know that they wouldn't make me happy. They would be fun to have, but they wouldn't make me happy. And I think that's good for me, that I know the difference, you know? I have friends of mine that get very fixated on having to have, like, this thing, like, they have to have this one thing, right? And then it's almost kind of like they're not really happy if they don't have that thing. And it makes me sad, you know, because it's like, but that thing doesn't really bring you happiness. Not really, you know? So tonight, Alex and I went to this art gallery opening. It was kind of strange, honestly. But we had a great time. The people that put it on were very, very nice. It was like this, okay, so they're doing all of these things this weekend because it's the first weekend of May, and May in Indiana is race season, because we have the Indianapolis 500, which is the last, this is that little diner that I drove through the other night that I thought was real cute. The Indianapolis 500 is the last Sunday in May, I think. And when I mean to tell you that people are obsessed with the race, like, oh my God, look at all of these potholes. How do you even get through this parking lot? My Lord. People are obsessed with the race. Now, I've only ever been one time, and we didn't even go to see the race. We went to go to the Snake Pit to hear DJs. Alex goes every year to the Snake Pit. So I went one year. I went the first year that he got tickets to the Snake Pit. So the Snake Pit is this area that you can't even see the race at, and it's literally like a deep. Well, back in the day, like when there was like, oh my god, they have this like spooky. I should show you guys this because this is like so funny. Like I looked. I was like, who is that person in here that is like staring at me? Like that is so weird. I'll show you this really quick. This kind of like scared me, you guys. This is literally this diner out in the middle of nowhere, Plaza 109. I've never even heard. I don't even know what city I'm at right now. But can I just show you something? Do you see this? Here, I'm gonna have to focus in on it so you guys can see. But I drove by and I saw this like dude in the window. Do you see this? Look. Look. I thought that was a real person. I was like, what if he started moving? Would you die? I was like, oh my god, what is he doing looking at me like that? Like, that's so weird. Why does that diner look so homey to me though? I love it. I don't know why. But anyway, so race season in Indianapolis is like a really, really big deal. Like people, Melissa and Jason are like, they are obsessed with cars and racing and stuff like that. Melissa actually, a couple years ago, Jason, for Christmas, gave her this deal where she got to go, and I can't remember who it was with. It was one of like the most famous racers though. Do you know how like in others, anyway, so she got to ride around the track for like, at like whatever speed they go at, that, you know, that ridiculous speed, some ridiculous speed. She got to ride around the track with him. Like he drove and she got to like ride in the car with him. Can you even, like, that's not something that I would care to do. Not one bit. But she was so excited and she got to go do it. So I think she may have talked about that on my vlog. I don't remember. But anyway, I mean, like, people are like crazy about it. What is going on here with the light? Let's get the light going back. Come on. Do you think that's because I, like, shed the light in that place and now it's like, here, let's turn this off. Let's try this again. Oh, no. You're not doing this to me tonight, are you? Come on. Why is it acting so weird? Hold on. I'm just going to turn it off and turn it back on. Literally, if I turn it off and I turn it back on, it resets everything. Is that not so strange? Okay. So, anyway, the other little funny side note is, you know, like in other cities, where like I don't know how else to say this, but to say it, but like girls want to date athletes and marry athletes, you know what I mean? Like basketball players, football players. In Indianapolis, girls want to date and marry race car drivers. Like, it's a huge deal here. And race car drivers usually, because it's such an expensive sport, have tons of money. So anyway, so this thing that we went to tonight, so they're having all these kickoff things. Like, they're doing, like, so for the Kentucky Derby, they have, like, Thunder over Louisville. I used to go to that every year. It's, like, fireworks off the bridge. It's really fun. It's fantastic. It's, like, such a fun weekend. They have, like, picnic in the park and all this kind of stuff. So my ex and I, we used to go to, because he lived, like, halfway between Indianapolis and Louisville. We used to go to Louisville for Thunder, and we would go out that weekend, and it was so much fun. I think it was 2 weeks before the Kentucky Derby, and Kentucky Derby weekend, going out in Louisville was so much fun. Oh my god. I remember the Connection bar. They used to cut off this, or like, they'd have this tent or something in the street, and like you could just walk in this. It was so much fun. Oh my god, that Kentucky Derby weekend in Louisville, Kentucky is really fun. But the whole month of May for Indianapolis is fun. But here's the thing. The race and the track is really, really, like, centered around alcohol a lot. I mean, it's a lot of drinking. And so I don't really enjoy all that. And the first year that Alex wanted to go to the Snake Pit, so the Snake Pit, like, back in the day when I was growing up, it was like they would have somebody like Leonard Skinner come and play. And it was a lot of bikers, and it was like a lot of, like, French halter tops. You know what I mean? It was like that. And that was kind of what it was known for being, like, really rough and tough and, you know, crazy. And it was called the Snake Pit. And they would have, like, they'd always have some band like that play. Well, now they've revamped it, and it's all like these major DJs. Like, I think Martin Garrix and Marshmello are coming this year. I think it's, I don't know who. I think definitely Marshmello is coming, and it's always these huge DJs, right? And so anyway, I don't know who else has played. I was gonna say Tiesto, but I don't know who else has played. So anyway, it's all these huge DJs, and it is crazy. Okay, it's absolutely crazy, and it's like 18 and up. But these kids, it's just sad. It's just sad, and it's very much like. So when we went, like, I literally, like, I stayed and danced and stuff for like an hour, and Alex wanted to stay. It's like so it starts early. That's the other thing. Okay, first of all, to drive into the racetrack, okay, to get parking, which is like literally miles away from the track. I mean, there's so much parking around the track because so many people come that you literally have to leave your house at like 6 a.m. Like, people that are really like rich and famous, they like fly in on helicopters. It's crazy. So you have to like leave your house at like 6 a.m. Then you're literally stuck in gridlock traffic going into the racetrack for like 2 hours. And then you get parking, and then you have to walk like a mile or 2 miles to the racetrack, okay? Then, when you get in the racetrack is so ginormous. There's a golf course in the middle of the racetrack, and the snake pit is like next to that. You have to like walk from the entrance to the snake pit, which is like another 2 to 5 miles. It's ridiculous, okay? I was so over it. I mean, let me just tell you, I was not about all this. So, and you know, everybody's drinking screwdrivers and mimosas because it's so early in the morning, and I don't drink, and you know, all of our friends were doing that, and I just was not having it. I just was not enjoying it. So, we get there, and it's literally like, it's kind of like a college, like Dave Matthews Band back in the day. I mean, it's just so much partying, and just everybody's like wasted, and just at early, and there's just, and it's not just kids, it was like adults everywhere. We're just like asleep, passed out, not even asleep, but passed out like in the grass, you know, with like a cup in their hand or something. And so I walked away. Oh, the other thing is there's absolutely no phone service, okay? Like, you can't get any phone service in there. So I'm stuck there with nothing to do. I don't want to be, like, up in these pits where people are, like, screaming and yelling and shouting, and it's not like a music festival. It just isn't. It's, like, 10 times crazier. And so I just sat down against this, like, fence that they had, or, like, on this thing, and it was, like, kind of, not a fence, but I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, like this rock thing. And I just sat there literally for like 3 hours. And then Alex came up, he's like, "Are you ready to go?" I go, "Yep, I'm ready to go. Let's go." And so we left, and I remember we walked underneath the underpass for where like the drive, like where the race track is. And I said, "Hold on a second, I want to just stand here, right here." He goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I will never be back at the racetrack again." I said, "So I just want to see this. Just once. I just want to say I've seen the race. I've been here my entire life. I just want to see once, because I have no desire to see the race, honestly." And Alex was laughing. And we took a picture of it with like the track behind us. And so... And he was like, "You would never come back again?" I go, "I will never come back for the snake pit, no. There's several places I don't need to be as a person in recovery, and this is definitely one of them. Like, I was uncomfortable, I didn't like it, and this was, I mean, I've been sober forever, I just didn't like it. It was messy, it was ugly, it made me uncomfortable, I didn't like it. It makes me sad. It makes me sad when I see that much drunkenness, and like, who knows whatever else is going on in one place. I just don't like it. It makes me really, really sad." And he was like, "Well, babe, I wanted you to have a good time." And I was like, "It was okay. Like, I came because I wanted to experience it with you, but I'm not going to do it again." And he goes, "You wouldn't come back to the race again?" I go, "I would come back to the race if we had seats that we could sit and watch the race." And I said, and like, there was like VIP pavilion, and like there's suites and stuff there, like at any other like sporting event. I said, if we got invited to go and sit in a suite, like I would definitely do that, like where it's catered and stuff. Like, I think that would be a lot of fun, because there's people there that are like super dressed up and stuff too, you know? But I said no, to go to the snake pit, like, I did not enjoy that. That was just a drunken mess. I don't need to do that. Well, the next year comes up, and Alex gets media passes again. And so he's like, "Do you want to go? Like, I know you said you don't want to go, but do you want to go?" I cannot tell you how much I struggled with this. I talked to my sponsor nonstop about it. I brought it up in meetings. I was like, I know I have no business going, but I really had like FOMO. Like I didn't, you know, I had like this fear of missing out on something. And I just came to this recollection. I was like, because everybody is going to be doing something on race day weekend, okay? Whether, if you're not going to the race, families do stuff. And my dad and my stepmom, they don't do anything on the race day weekend. Like, you know, they just don't. My dad probably watches the race on TV, but that's like it, you know? And so I knew that if I didn't go to the race, I was going to be completely alone that week, or just that Sunday. And I was like, no, I said, you guys go, you take somebody and have fun. He took his brother, Fufu, and they had a great time. And since people ask me about times that my husband gets intoxicated, so I was not going to drive them there and drive them back in this mess, and you can't get an Uber out of there, right? And so we had two of our friends that were going, a husband and wife, and I had talked to her, and I said, Alex is going to drink. I know he is, because he didn't drink last year because of me. Like, he didn't really drink at all the first year, and I said, I know he's going to drink this year because of me, because I'm not going to be there, and he's going to want to have fun and stuff like that. So she was like, I'll make sure that they get home. She was like, don't even worry about it. I said, okay. So I was sitting there that day, and I was like, and like Alex called me when he got out of the race, like out of the track, and like they were coming home. And I was like, I could hear his brother in the background. And I was like, yep, they're drunk. And I'm not sure I'm like really in the mood for it. So they were supposed to go to this race party that night, right? So I went to the grocery store. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go get a bunch of food. So I went to the grocery store. I got pizza rolls, I got frozen pizza, I got chips and dip, I got all this kind of stuff, you know, so we could have like a little party and stuff. Because his brother was gonna stay there for the night, because he was like, I have no business like driving back to my mom's. He was staying at his mom's house at that time. I think this was when he was in college, and he was like, maybe it was the first year after college. I think it was the first year after college. I don't know. When did Fufu turn 21? He turned 21 when he was a junior in college. So it was either his senior year. No. It might have been his junior year, because he turned 21 in December, so it would have been that May. So anyway, they came home, and I mean to tell you, they like literally walked in the door, and Fufu passed out on the couch, and Alex sat in a chair, and he goes, I'm just gonna rest here for a second. And I was like, okay. And I like went upstairs, and I was like folding laundry or something, and like I like looked down over the edge, and they were both completely asleep. And so I came downstairs, and I put blankets over both of them, and I was like, whatever. And the party started that Alex and his brother were going to go to. It was like this big party. It was like they have this after race party downtown, right? They've all, well, not just one, they have tons. And it started at like 7. And so like 7 came and went, and they're asleep. 8 came and went, and they're asleep. And I was like, I'm not waking them up, you know? 9 came and went, and they're asleep. 10 came and went, and they were asleep. And then finally they like woke up. And Alex is like, I don't know that I really want to go to the party anymore. And I was like, yeah. And Fufu was like, I don't really feel drunk anymore, but I don't really feel like I should be driving home. Do you guys care if I stay? And we're like, no, we want you to stay here. And I was like, well, I went and got pizza rolls and all this kind of stuff. And Alex and Fufu were so excited, and we made pizzas. We sat there, and I can't remember what movie we watched, but we rented some movie on demand and sat there and watched it. And then we watched some other movie that Alex had, and we had like this great evening. It was really fun. I kind of forgot about that. That was one of like the best evenings ever with Fufu. But anyway, when I first started dating Alex, we would like take him to movies and stuff. I can't remember what movie we took him to, but Fufu always acts like he's kind of a tough kid. And I remember whatever movie we took him to was like a scary movie, a horror movie. And he was like, we left, and he goes, you guys, this is so unfair, because you know I get really, really scared, and then you take me to these scary movies. And we had no idea that he got scared about these movies. And he was like, at the time, probably 17 or something like that. But anyway, we also went to the very first Transformers movie. That was the very first movie that we took him to. And, because I remember he said something to me like, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he was like, Alex, like, never would ever just call me up to go to a movie or do something until he started dating you. And I was like, yeah, because it's me being like, hey, I think you should call Fufu and see if he wants to go to a movie. We should take him and go. You're his older brother. We should do something, you know? And so we did. And now, you know, what's interesting is that, like, now Alex and him have such a great relationship. And they, like, talk, like, every day and stuff. And he's just the coolest kid. I got so blessed with the family I have. I mean, my God, you know? Alex's two brothers, his mom, my sister-in-law Liliana, I just adore her, you know, like, I am so blessed to have the family. I mean, Alex's aunt and uncle, his grandma, everybody, his uncle, his other uncle, I feel just, you know, his cousins, you know, Maya and Nina, I just feel like, I just love my family so much. So anyway, that's race day weekend. So anyway, we went to this thing tonight. There's this girl here that owns this lifestyle vlog that I have wanted to meet forever. And she was out one night somewhere downtown, and Alex was out, and she came running up to him, and she's like, oh my God, you're Peter Monn's husband. And he was like, yeah. And she was like, I watched all of his videos. Okay, this was like a year and a half ago. So it cracks me up, you know, and I have never met her, and we started following each other on Instagram, and we would talk sometimes and be like, we need to get together, we need to get together. So we made plans to have lunch sometime next week. Well, some PR company reached out to like a bunch of people and invited them to this thing tonight. It was like this race day, I don't know, installation art thing that they were inviting a lot of people to, and we got invited to it. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, are you going tonight? She was like, yeah. And I was like, great, I can't wait to meet you. So I really just kind of wanted to go just to meet her. I was really excited about it. So we get there, like right before we get there, she texts me and she's like, so it's a little cheap, just get ready, but there's a lot of photo opportunities. So Alex will love it. And it was cool. I mean, it was kind of some cool installation art with what, I mean, they did with what they were given, you know, kind of. But we sat there and she and I talked for like an hour and a half. She's so nice. She is so, so nice. I'm doing a video with her on this channel. She's incredible. And so she does a lifestyle blog. So she'll be on here. I'm gonna have her on here sometime soon. And let me just tell you, she is probably Trisha Paytas' #1 fan. Like, hands down. She went to Chicago and saw her on tour. And she was like, oh my God, you met Trisha Paytas? I was like, yeah. What's she like? I was like, well, you met her too, didn't you? She was like, yeah. So anyway, she's real cute. So anyway, she's real fun. And so then this thing that Alex is going to tomorrow night, right? I think I talked about that on here. It's like this very like formal thing, and this is legit like the kickoff, okay, of the Indy 500. And like it's the thing like the who's who of Indianapolis go to. It's a huge fundraiser, and it's like on the track. It's very cool, okay? And Alex has wanted to go to this for years. Like, literally, every year I hear about it. He's like, I want to go to this so bad. I want to go to this so bad. I want to go to this so bad. Well, his friend has a friend that she didn't have a date. So she reached out and said, would Alex want to go? And so Alex was like, oh my God, I would die to go. So he's going to this thing tomorrow night. So we're on our way home, okay? He knows I don't care. I could give a rat's ass if I go to this thing or not. Like, okay, like just for real. I mean, do I think it would be fun? Sure. It's like 10 different of the finest chefs from restaurants are cooking this thing. It's on the track. There's all these different cool experiences. You get to meet all the race car drivers. It's literally like the who's who of Indianapolis, and it's semi-formal. So it's like going to be really, there's a lot of people that are going to be very stylishly dressed there. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited, right? Oh, you get it now. See, I'm going. Did you get that? Okay, because this is what happened. But like that being said, like I didn't really care if I went or not, because I don't really, like, I'm such a homebody. Like, I don't know that people really understand this. Like, I am such a homebody. I opt out of all these things. And I wouldn't even say it so much because of my social anxiety anymore. It's because sometimes I just rather sit at home with my dogs and have a movie playing in the background and my candle wax is going, oh my God, okay? I got sent, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to show it on here. I got sent the most fantastic candles today in the entire world. Candle waxes and candles I got sent today in the entire world. The entire world. So I'm not going to talk about them on here right now, though. But anyway, I'll save them because I want to show them. I also got one of the nicest cards I have ever received the other day, and I wanted to like say who it was from. So I have that sitting on the counter, and I'll talk about that too. But the letter is very, very personal, so I don't want to read the letter. But you guys like just are so nice. You don't have to send me anything, but it's really sweet when you do. But anyway, so we're on our way home, right? And Alex gets a call from our friend, and our friend Courtney, and he's like, and Courtney was Miss Indiana USA, and she was the year after our friend that married us that was Miss Indiana. And so Alex is like, Courtney's calling, and we didn't talk to her in forever. And she was at our wedding, and we adore her. She's so fantastic. And she had kind of helped me get into judging pageants and stuff, because I don't talk that much about this on here, but I judge pageants sometimes. So anyway, it's like my thing that I watched Miss USA pageant last night. Hello, called Miss North Carolina. I said top 5 will be. Now my other, I think I got 3 out of the top 5. I could be wrong. I don't know, maybe 2 out of the top 5. But I said my final bet would be this or that, and Miss North Carolina won. She's fantastic. She was, oh my God, gorgeous and smart and witty and just, she'll be fantastic. So anyway, she won Miss USA. But, so, Courtney and I, and what's so funny is, I've talked about this documentary on here before called Living Dolls, that was about the beauty, or baby beauty pageants back in the day. Courtney was in the documentary, okay? We're talking one day, and I'm like, oh my God, did you ever see the documentary? Did you ever know Swoon, or whatever her name is, the girl that went missing, her mother died, and then nobody knew where she ended up, and all this kind of stuff? I became really fascinated with the story. It was also, like, Swan, I can't remember what her name is, but anyway, she goes, oh yeah, I was in that documentary. She goes, they interviewed 10 of us, and they only used 5 or 3, so I wasn't one of the girls that they used as the main one, but I'm in the documentary, you can see me, and I went back and I watched it, and she is in the documentary. So anyway, so Courtney's been one of our very dear friends for years and years and years. Well, Alex had posted something. I love my husband so much. He is not afraid to ask, okay? He put on Facebook something about how bad he really wanted to go to this thing. So she called him, and she said, you know, I was given 2 tickets, and, like, do you want to go? Like, I don't have anybody to go with. And he was like, well, I would. And I'm, like, sitting here in the car, and I'm, like, only hearing half the conversation, right? And he's like, I would, but I'm already going. And he's, like, explaining the situation. And he goes, I don't know, let me ask him. And she's like, and so he goes, now, I know you're going to say no, and you're not going to want to do it, but Courtney, and so I was like, well, what time is it, and whatever, right? And I'm already like, I'm going to this thing. I'm tired of not participating in things in life, and then I'm going to be 60, and I'm going to look back on my life and feel like this is one of the things I've started doing in the last year. I am participating in life. If things are offered to me, I'm going and I'm doing them. Because every opportunity I have taken in my life has opened some door for me down the road, and I'm doing it. So, and I think it'd be fun. I'm excited about it. So he goes, well, let me talk to him, and I'll get off the phone, and then he'll call you back. And so, or he goes, and then I'll call you back. So he gets off the phone, he goes, now before you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what do I have to wear? And he goes, well, it's semi-formal. And I said, well, I have a suit that I could wear, and blah, 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 whatever. And he goes, and I said, and maybe, it's supposed to be cold tomorrow night, is the thing. It's supposed to be like in the mid-40s. And I said, you know, well, I'll figure something out. And he goes, are you wanting to go? And I go, oh yeah, I'm going. He goes, you are? And I go, yeah. So he calls her right back, and I could hear her. She's like, that's quick. She said something like that. She's like, oh, that's quick. And he's like, yeah. So then Courtney and I talked, and she and I are going to go, and we're going to meet up with. So Alex is somebody's date. I'm somebody else's date. So we're going as their plus ones. But we both get to go, which is really exciting, right? And I love Courtney. She is so fun. She and I are going to have so much fun together. She got me to judge my very first pageant ever, and we had so much fun that weekend with the pageant owners, and it was in St. Louis, and we stayed at this, like, it was like a Renaissance or something, but it was like a really nice Renaissance, and it was a glitz pageant. It was like half glitz, half natural, and we had such a blast, you guys, filming, or doing that pageant. And let me just tell you, I don't know what that toddlers and tiara stuff was like back in the day, but that has never been my experience. I have to tell you, I have like, the parents that I have ever interacted with on pageants are so gracious. The children are so polite, so gracious, you know, and I don't know, like, where that whole thing has been. But anyway, she's fantastic. And I am so excited to see her, and I love her so much. And, so that's tomorrow night. We're going to be doing that thing. So when you're watching this, I'm probably at it. Don't be jealous. No, I'm joking. But anyway, I will tell you this. I'm a little nervous. I said to Alex, I said, because I thought it was like a sit-down dinner when I read the thing. And I go, is this like a sit-down dinner? Because I was like, there's no way that I can go through, like, they're going to bring salads out and then a main course. You know, like, I just can't do that. And I go, is this like a sit-down dinner? And he goes, no, it's not like a sit-down dinner at all. He said it's like, there's tables set up and there's, like, chef areas, and then you go to like each chef area supposedly, and it's like, you know, so if it's like this guy is from such and such restaurant, there'll be like these different things. And these are like the top restaurants in Indianapolis, or the most kind of like artsy different ones. And I was like, oh god, and I'm on this diet. He goes, babe, eat your meals during the day and go and have what you want to have. Just don't overdo it. He goes, you can have a cheat meal. Oh, it's going to stop. Hold on. He was like, you can have a cheat meal. I think that's fine. He was like, I did it all the time. He was like, because we were talking the other night about how he would go to Cheesecake Factory. And he was like, you know, Peter, he goes, you are really, like, begrudging yourself not eating a lot. He's like, I'm kind of surprised you're being so strict with yourself on this diet, because I am being super strict with myself. And, like, literally every night, I'm having, like, either egg beaters, exactly what it recommends, or I'm having one or two, depending on which kind I have, because one is 70 calories, the other one's 140, so I can have, or 130, so I can have two. The battery is dying, you guys. Anyway, so he's like, well, maybe you could, you know, have tomorrow's meal. So I said, listen, I said, here's my plan. I'm going to go with, my intention is not going to be to eat, and I'll have had my meals for the day, and if I go and I eat, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And if I don't, then I'll be fine. And I'll just go into it and I'll just see how I feel when I get there. Because he was like, you know, even at Cafe Patache, Peter, he was like, you could start having like the Cuban breakfast or something. He was like, you could have a different omelet. He was like, you could have a heavier meal one day a week. It wouldn't be bad for you. And I was like, okay, so we'll see. But anyway, I am so far from home, you guys. Right now I am in Anderson, which is where the casino is, but I'm not going to the casino tonight. I'm going, finishing in my audiobook. And so I can't drive home and get the battery, so I'm going to say goodnight now. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I hope you're having a great Saturday, unless you have other plans. And if nobody else told you this today, I love you. Look in the mirror, tell yourself that, believe it, it's important. Make the most of your life. Do things that are fun, do things that are exciting, make the most of your life, even if it's just simple stuff, you know? And I love you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you.